easier than ever to spot brain rot content because they all have one thing in common: the language.
Stop, you're so chalant. I'm sorry to be so chalant. It's just, you've got a level 10 yeah, no glaze.
Brain rot content has become so common in social media that it essentially created its own language. Brain rot language is jam-packed with pop culture and internet references that most people in the real world don't understand. These slang videos are taken from trending videos and they form sentences that don't make sense unless you watch this kind of content.
What the Sigma? Bro.
What the Sigma?
Most of the time, brain rot slang comes from influencers, particularly live streamers. Kai Cenat, a famous Twitch streamer, was the first to popularize brain rot slang words. Back in 2023, Kai coined the well-known term Riz.
Bro, I kept saying like, yo, I got Riz, a W Riz. At first, my chat was like, bro, what the like, Riz, that shit sound mad weird.
Although Riz wasn't invented by Kai, he was the one that made the word go viral. On a stream, Kai would regularly use Riz to describe someone who is charming to the person they were attracted to. Others have even said that Riz is short for romantic charisma.
You're rizzing them up to where like, okay, wait, hold on. Shit is starting to go your way.
Yeah.
Like, it's from like going from like a dead end to where, yo, you're just so swift with your words and what you're saying to where like the girl's like, okay, like who this? Like,
although the true definition got lost along the way, Riz became such a commonly used term that its popularity went beyond the internet. It became a part of the day-to-day vocabulary of not just gamers, but also the average Joe. Since then, more and more slang words have been taken from Twitch streamers and used by the general public. Kai once again became the source of another viral brain rot term, the phantom tax. Kai is part of a content team called AMP, known as Any Means Possible. Together, many members of AMP live in a shared house, each having their own room to stream and make content. One of these AMP members and housemates is Phantom, another popular content creator. He became infamous online because he would constantly barge into Kai's room and steal the food that Kai ordered. Phantom collected bites of their food as a sort of tax, and this would happen anytime someone in the house ordered a meal that looked appetizing to him. Viewers would then clip these interactions and start calling it the phantom tax. This term became widely popular on social media, especially on TikTok and among Gen Alpha.
close your mind. You locking doors in this house? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. What's wrong with you?
Streamer Your Rage is another prime example. On stream, Your Rage would use the word gyat to describe attractive women. And once again, the internet took the term and ran with it, making it another viral sensation.
When we say yeah, it just gotta be booby. Say yeah! It's an expression like yeah! Oh, yeah!
Although slang in itself is a normal part of every generation, brain rot language is a bit different. Not only is it overused, but it seems like it's replacing their actual language. These slang words are usually thrown together randomly. It's not meant to make sense and instead a mash of different words. This makes communicating with the younger generation much harder.
If you want to call somebody cool, what would you say? Like,
Probably like mad lit on God or something.
What?
mad lit on God?
Yeah,
Like G-O-D?
yeah, it's mad lit on God, no cap.
Brain rot impacts more than just how kids talk. It also leaves lasting effects on how they look. Brain rot beauty standards. Looks maxing has become a viral internet niche on all social media platforms. Although it could be traced back to the mid-2010s on online forums, it only now became popular on social media. Looks maxing is just trying to make yourself as attractive as possible by maximizing your look, as the name states. But the origins of the word have a much darker history than you think. The term was originally created by incel communities to describe the extensive process needed to be deemed good-looking by women. Looks maxers usually go through damaging processes like extensive plastic surgery and unhealthy diets to achieve what they believe to be the ideal male look. The community also engaged actively in something called lookism, which is where they look negatively on those who aren't seen as attractive, and they only use physical appearances to judge a person's character, nothing more. It escalated to the point where there was a full site called lookism.net with the slogan, "Where looks matter." In 2018, a 17-year-old boy named Tom checked out the site himself. As a 6'4", blonde, attractive guy, he decided to experiment and post his own picture on the site to see what others would say, and the replies were shocking. People encouraged him to get plastic surgery or use steroids to get bigger muscles. Other anonymous users commented that he was unattractive and had bad genes. In Looksmaxxing, there's always some way to improve your looks, even if it means spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to do it. Although Looksmaxxing isn't as extreme as it once was, it still adheres to the community's nearly impossible beauty standards. While some people seek beauty tips through it, for others it has become an obsession that spiraled to brain rot. When Looksmaxxing first hit mainstream social media, it was mainly a meme, and it was introduced through mewing. Mewing is when you flatten your tongue against the roof of your mouth, making your jawline look sharper. There were mixed reactions to this. Some adapted mewing into their everyday routine, while others made fun of it. At first, this seemed like a trend that would just come and go just as quickly as others have, but the simple facial exercise was just the start of a dark path that many would begin to follow. The Looksmaxxing community on social media started to get so intense it grew almost cult-like. Many members of the community were so obsessed with their physical appearance that they started encouraging some questionable behavior.
Get mugged.
Mogging is when one person is comparably more attractive than the other, usually when standing side to side. Much like Looksmaxxing, it originally seemed like a pretty light-hearted trend, but the mogging trend became almost synonymous with just tearing someone down because of how they look. Looksmaxxers often blame their looks as the reason why they have poor social lives and can't attract women, using mogging as a standard of self-worth. In the since-deleted Reddit post on the forum r/socialskills, a Redditor talked about how they got absolutely mogged by a random girl at a Walgreens. The post detailed how he felt as the woman in front of him was more attractive than him, and it made him feel self-conscious. But he even went as far as to make up scenarios on how she felt about him. He wanted to speak to her, but stopped himself because he believed that she was disgusted by him. He believed that she was thinking, who does this unattractive man think he is to talk to me? And this isn't a rare case. There are countless Reddit posts like this from people with similar mindsets. Another Redditor talked about how he's been haunted for years over some lifeguard who he believed mogged him. He explained how he was pursuing a girl for many months. One day, when they were hanging out by the pool, a lifeguard quickly showed romantic interest in her faster than he did. She told him how much she liked the lifeguard and how handsome he was. The situation happened 3 years ago, yet he's still haunted by it. Since this community cares so much about bettering their looks, they'll go to extreme lengths. In 2023, several filters started going viral on TikTok. These filters would measure the angle of your eyes or the size of certain facial features. These were supposed to help you see if you fit in the ideal beauty standard. Using supermodels like Francisco Lachowski and Jordan Barrett as inspiration, Looksmaxxers have a very specific standard. To meet it, you need to fit a certain criteria. One of these requirements is hunter's eyes. These are eyes that are characterized by a positive canthal tilt, which basically means that they're angled upward in the outer corners.
I'm a facial plastic surgeon. Let me explain this new canthal tilt filter. What this is the angle created from the inner corner of the eye to the outer corner of the eye. If you have a positive tilt, that means that the outer corner is slightly higher than the inner corner.
The hunter eyes fixation went crazy on TikTok, with many young men becoming obsessed with achieving the look.
Your eye area makes or breaks you. The eye area holds a pivotal place in determining facial attractiveness.
Not everyone is born with their eyes shaped this way, so many came up with ways to shape their eyes, and they called it squint maxing. Within Looksmaxxing, there are subcategories of self-improvement tips like hair maxing. With squint maxing, people tried to continuously squint their eyes so that they resemble hunter eyes, hoping that if they did it long enough, they would have their desired eyes. But one of the most common and most controversial methods that Lookmaxxers use is something called starve maxing. To get that shredded physique and a chiseled face, many looks maxers put themselves on highly restrictive diets. With so much negativity in the community, some creators turn this into a business.
Kareem Shami is a 22-year-old college student based in San Diego who's become the face of this looks maxing trend after posting this video showing his physical transformation between the ages of 17 and 20.
TikToker Kareem Shami, known by his alias Syrian Psycho, is a content creator who makes self-improvement content specifically catered to looks maxers. These include tips on hair care, personal hygiene, and facial exercises. Kareem shares his insights in his paid community, Mogwarts Academy. Claiming to be the top-rated community for continuous self-improvement, Mogwarts has over 2,205 looks maxers. For $10 a month, members get access to over 14 hours of exclusive content and personal lessons on how to look their very best. This also unlocks other resources like a community forum, live webinars, and video tutorials. Despite its thriving community, it's been debated whether Mogwarts is just a meme. It's also been criticized for preying on the insecure. People who have purchased the course claimed that the resources are recycled from other sources like other forums or websites. Others have called the entire course brain rot and criticized both Kareem and Mogwarts for charging a monthly subscription for basic self-improvement tips that can be found through a simple Google search. Some apps have been created specifically targeting looks maxers. Umax is an app that can calculate how much you fit the looks maxing beauty standard. You take a selfie on the app and then it'll rate you based on 6 different categories: potential, masculinity, skin quality, jawline, and cheekbones. Although the app is free, users can't access its features unless they pay to unlock them. But looks maxing is just one part of brain rot content. These beauty standards impact women too. Brain rot aesthetics. Do you know if you're cat pretty or fox pretty or turtle pretty?
There is a total of 10 different types, and we'll dive into each of the face shape types to better understand the features and charms of each.
Originating in East Asia, animal facial types were used in the beauty industry to describe different face shapes and features. But since it's become popularized in North America, it's gotten a bit out of control. For starters, this comparison is very niche to internet culture, which makes it confusing to understand for those who aren't always online. Although the animal face types are meant to describe different sorts of faces, many of the people referenced in these videos are models, actresses, or influencers who've gotten expensive beauty treatments. Many young girls on social media feel inferior to these since they don't look like the women in the videos. So they either try and fit into one of these archetypes or get plastic surgery. And this is just one part of a long-term trend that's been happening on the internet. Physical looks, personality traits, or other characteristics have started being grouped into aesthetics. Aesthetics have been around for as long as the internet has. Many people credit the website Tumblr for popularizing the concept back in the early 2010s.
When we think of aesthetics in the 21st century, we often think of hyper-specific Instagram feeds or the unending wormhole of aesthetic niches on Tumblr.com.
An aesthetic in internet terms refers to things or people with a specific look, personality, or style. From e-girls to cottagecore, young girls cycle through aesthetics every few weeks. They buy all new wardrobes, dye their hair, and sometimes even take on new personalities to match the aesthetic. But sometimes it can get a little confusing.
You're totally giving golden retriever boyfriend energy, which is amazing because I want to be giving black cat energy.
It might seem harmless at first, but chasing aesthetics can be harmful. They change quickly, making it tiring to keep up, and it also encourages overconsumption.
Because something that TikTok is really good at is creating these hyper-specific micro-trends that only last for a week that people blow hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on, and then by the next week, next Monday, it's out of trend.
Social media is the source of major financial problems. At one point, 8-year-olds were going to Sephora to buy makeup and skincare products designed for adults which can harm their skin. If you want to know more about this, check out my video called How the Internet Destroyed Generation Alpha. Now let's do a deeper dive on few specific aesthetics with more problematic origins. One of the most infamous trends on social media in recent months is the coquette aesthetic. Identified by its excessive use of baby pink, dainty bows, and Lana Del Rey songs, the coquette aesthetic took over social media. The coquette aesthetic, once popular on Tumblr, has resurfaced and spread across the internet, even becoming a meme. While most people saw this as a micro trend that would fade away, others didn't feel the same, and a temporary aesthetic soon became a permanent consequence. The trend went far beyond just putting bows on everything, because the coquette aesthetic isn't just a look, it's also a lifestyle that only certain people could live. For starters, a coquette woman has to look a specific way: pale skin, thin figure, dainty and delicate, which not many people naturally are. Many others wanted to recreate it for themselves, and with all the reference photos being unhealthily thin women, some started to do whatever it took to achieve this look.
While the aesthetic and philosophy is pretty, some of the people in the community as a whole are not. There is a notion that you have to be really skinny to be coquette, because what is depicted mostly in the aesthetic is really slender girl.
But that's not the only damaging part. The coquette aesthetic actually has some dark history that not many people know about. As defined by Merriam-Webster, a coquette is a woman who endeavors without sincere affection to gain the attention and admiration of men. And since the coquette aesthetic focused so much on softness and innocence, it became a favorite of men who had a fixation with younger partners, much younger. But for those who didn't like pink or lace, another controversial aesthetic quickly took over social media in January of 2024. This one was oddly specific. On January 6th, 2024, a TikTok user posted a video that went viral.
Clean girl is out, mob wife era is in, okay?
In the video, she talks about how she wanted to ditch the clean girl aesthetic, which was an aesthetic where women would wear slick back buns, minimalist styles, and natural makeup. Instead, she proposed that everyone start doing the mob wife aesthetic. The aesthetic was based on fashion of the wives of gangsters and mobsters, mostly from TV shows and movies. Common references were characters like Elvira from Scarface or Talia from The Godfather. Immediately, TikTok was on board. Fashion creators started wearing large fur coats, flashy jewelry, and bold makeup. Anything a stereotypical mob wife would wear. Soon, the mob wife aesthetic became a trending topic on the internet, viral on social media, and covered by news outlets and magazines. But while the mob wife's life looked glamorous from the outside, looks are deceiving, because the reality of being a wife of a renowned criminal is anything but aesthetic. Since mob wives are tied directly to the mafia, their lives are constantly at risk. Their husbands are dangerous, and even if their lives were miserable, they had to stay with them or face dire consequences. Actual wives of mobsters started speaking up, talking about their real-life experiences and about how uncomfortable they were with the trend. Ali K, a TikToker and former mob wife, posted a response video to one of the viral mob wife aesthetic videos. In it, she talked about the dark reality of being the wife of a mobster.
Y'all do and wear what you want, but mob wife is not a makeup look. It's knowing that the safe in your bedroom with the cash in it is the decoy. It's being better than doctors at CPR and first aid.
Ali continued to open up about her past as a mob wife in other videos on her channel. She told stories about the incidents that happened in her marriage, like how her husband regularly gave her special types of painkillers for her headaches. She also talked about how the heavy and dark makeup that everyone on the internet seemed to love wasn't just a cosmetic choice. The makeup was used to hide injuries. Through these stories, she reminded people that her life was not an aesthetic and that being a mob wife shouldn't be glamorized. Some people have become so disconnected from the real world that they can't tell the difference between what's real and what's fake. Brain rot in real life. If you've been on the internet lately, you've probably seen this meme. Drawn by war artist Tom Leia, the 2,000-yard stare is an art piece. It was originally published in Life magazine in 1945 and was meant to showcase the shell shock that those in the military felt during the war. Although it was first publicized almost 80 years ago, the 2,000-yard stare didn't become famous until recently. Social media users started using it as a meme, renaming it as the 1,000-yard stare instead.
The 1,000-yard stare is being used as a reaction image to the horrors that persist online at any given moment. Whether this be the most cringeworthy post you've ever seen, making you shudder so hard you turn into a black hole, or actual nightmarish footage that leads you to traumatization forever.
The image became one of the most commonly used meme images online. Many people had never seen the artwork before, so when TikTok user @JoshLunchbox posted this video, they were surprised to say the very least. Josh, studying in a library, saw a book with a 2,000-yard stare picture. He captioned, "Go back to the digital realm. You're not meant to be here." The video instantly went viral. Josh, like many others, was completely shocked that the 2,000-yard stare was a real art piece and not just an internet meme. Many commenters also agreed with Josh, saying that if they saw this piece in real life, they would have lost their minds. People genuinely believed that the 2,000-yard stare was created to be a meme. They forgot what life was like outside of the internet. In the comments, tons of people shared that they felt like they truly had brain rot. One commenter shared that when he first saw a horse in person, he started quoting BoJack Horseman, which is an animated show about a humanoid horse. Another commenter talked about the time he was telling the story of Sisyphus to someone. When that person asked him how he knew about it, he had to cite his source as TikTok. Josh's video opened up the floodgates for discussions about brain rot, especially about how Gen Z and Gen Alpha are so chronically online that they can't seem to remember a world that existed without technology attached to you every second. This makes sense considering how in today's day and age the internet is our source for everything, not just entertainment, but even real-world news. Although brain rot has often been associated with things like memes, slang, and pop culture references, brain rot can also come from the overconsumption of much darker content.
The pandemic has led to a dramatic increase in screen time for many, and a lot of those hours have been devoted to what experts call doom scrolling. It's an unhealthy habit for multiple reasons, and one that is well worth the effort to break.
Doom scrolling is the activity of spending a lot of time looking at your phone or computer reading negative news stories. And with most of our news coming from social media, it's much easier to doom scroll. It makes people feel negative, yet they can't seem to stop doing it. That's because doom scrolling is addictive. According to clinic directors at the University of Pennsylvania, people doom scroll because they're searching for answers. Especially during the stay-at-home crisis, when nothing was certain, people believed that if they found answers to their questions, they would feel better. But of course, the answers only lead to more questions. Clickbait articles and videos attract your attention, but it's all just fake news.
Yep, a code red warning for everyone's life. Has just been set, and if you have an iPhone, get away immediately.
On the subreddit r/productivity, there are dozens of posts from people who say that doom scrolling has ruined their lives. The first thing they do in the morning is go on TikTok to watch bad news, and it completely throws off the rest of their day. They are intentionally rotting their brain, but they don't know how to stop. So with all of this damaging brain rot content, what impact does this have on kids today? Brain rot on Generation Alpha. For Gen Alpha kids who are addicted to their devices, the internet is their truth, and it all has real-world consequences that are finally starting to come to light. They overconsume social media content, which brands and creators exploit. According to a study by the American Psychological Association, kids ages 10 to 12 are more addicted to social media because their brain creates social rewards after they go on it. These are like happy hormones that they can get from day-to-day interactions like talking to friends, but much more intense.
When we engage with social media, it releases a lot of dopamine in the brain's reward pathway. It's bountiful in the sense that it's practically speaking infinite. TikTok never runs out.
But social media addiction doesn't just mean increased screen time. It also has serious consequences when it comes to Gen Alpha's learning and development.
Young Gen Z teachers are talking about the poor behavior of Gen Alpha students, and some of y'all are finally starting to believe us when it comes to how much we've missed the mark on raising these kids right.
Many teachers have used social media to share stories from their classrooms about their students, but not for a good reason.
And I teach at one of the more affluent schools. When I tell you that these babies cannot read, they cannot write, and they cannot comprehend, I'm not being funny. I'm being dead serious.
The Nation's report card reported that 67% of fourth graders are considered not proficient in reading. Reading and math scores in the United States are at the lowest they've been in decades. And while we can't exactly blame all of this on brain rot content, children ages 8 to 12 average almost 5 hours a day on screens. So it's not far-fetched to say that there may be some correlation there. Not to mention, many of these kids lack basic comprehension skills.
I could ask them, who is the main character of your story? The story of 4-paragraph story we just read. Can't tell you. They don't know. They don't know. They don't know. It took us 4 weeks to get through how to answer a question in a complete sentence.
This can also explain why younger generations, specifically Gen Alpha, are so drawn to online shopping. Because of their lack of media literacy and comprehension, they're easily swayed by marketing. WebPurify surveyed over 1,000 US parents and found that 16% of kids had online shopping addictions, with 22% preferring it as their main source of entertainment. Even with the major concerns we've covered, not everything online is harmful for kids. Brain rot exists, but so does great content. You can learn almost anything with a few clicks. Personally, I learned more in 1 year of online learning by myself than 6 years of traditional schooling. Everything I know about YouTube is solely because of the internet. Gen Alpha is incredibly innovative and tech savvy. If they use these tools for good, I know they can change the world. Visual Venture. Wait, before you go, make sure you guys watch this video about the internet's impact on Generation Alpha, because it falls right in line with brain rot content. And make sure to
Sup, Slick Gangsters, I'm just chilling on my iPod here, so I just want to say thanks so much for 238 subscribers. Really means a lot. So yeah, so I'm just chilling and recording this on my iPod. It may not be the best quality, but hey, it works. So thanks for 238 subscribers. I really appreciate it. Like what my goal is, like, I don't know how YouTube works and stuff, unless someone can like explain it. But all I know is if you hit 1,000 subscribers, then you can like make money somehow. But I don't know how that works. But thank you anyway for 238 subscribers. So like, I'm sure someone can explain it to me, how it like all works and stuff. But I just want to say thank you so much for the support. Thank you for 238 subscribers. Really means a lot. And quick update on my life. I'm doing fine actually. Like I work today and tomorrow, and then I don't work until Friday. So yeah, apparently I'm doing okay. So alright, well, thank you guys for the support. Really means a lot. Slick Gangsters signing out. Peace.
in its mobile version.
I'm concerned that social media is an important driver of that youth mental health crisis.
People like with filters are like people with the unimaginable bodies that are all fake. All fake and perfect, and it's like, why can't that be me, you know?
42% of Gen Zers said they could not stop using social media if they tried. The most common words they associate with platforms like Facebook and Instagram: depressed, angry, and alone.
We've all heard people say that Gen Z is addicted to social media, but is this just something people like to claim, or is it really true? This video explores the answer to that. But right off the bat, it's clear to see how destructive social media can be and how much damage it's already done to Generation Z. And by the way, I'm technically part of Gen Z too, so when I speak to you, I speak to myself. I'm Visual Venture, and make sure you guys watch the whole video because it unpacks a lot. Damage to the brain and the body. Gen Z is known as the internet generation. They are society's digital natives, spending an average of 7 hours and 7 minutes a day on their phones scrolling through social media. On average, Gen Z spends over 49 hours a week on their devices, which is more hours than a full-time job. With so much time in cyberspace, how do they have time for the real world? The answer is they don't. Alexis Spence was only 11 years old when she discovered Instagram. From then on, her life changed forever. At first, Alexis signed up to find more content about Webkinz, a kid's web game about stuffed animals. But soon she fell into the endless content rabbit hole. She found accounts of models and fitness gurus, which made her feel self-conscious about her own looks. Seeking comfort, she turned to online communities, but the people she met there were far from friendly. Instagram's algorithm suggested harmful accounts for her to follow, encouraging unhealthy behavior. And being 11 years old, Alexis didn't know better. She was easily influenced by these pages. Through these accounts, she found a series of group chats. But these group DMs only made Alexis feel worse about herself, with the members peer pressuring her to continue her newly found bad habits.
She was on social media at 11 years old without our knowledge, without our consent. And from there, she very slowly withdrew, and piece by piece, we began to lose our daughter.
And by 12, Alexis was completely addicted to her phone. She started drawing artwork of herself crying with her phone nearby, along with self-depreciating comments written on the paper. This was when her parents realized just how bad social media was for their daughter. They tried parental controls on her phone to block her from going on Instagram. They even tried taking her phone away, but that only angered Alexis, causing her to punch a hole in the wall. Whatever her parents did, it didn't matter. Alexis had an addiction. She secretly went online at night, creating alternate emails and accounts, hiding them from her parents. She even downloaded an app that disguised Instagram as a calculator, so her parents didn't know she still had it on her phone. By the age of 15, the negative influences of social media had become so detrimental to her health that she was hospitalized. She spent 2 weeks in a ward without access to her phone or the internet, and that's when her parents believed they found the root of Alexis's problems. social media. So I believe that Alexis's parents are also to blame. But there's no doubt that social media has added a completely new element to parenting that was never there before. According to a survey by McKinsey and Company, 27% of Gen Zers said that social media has negatively impacted their mental health. But despite how badly social media affects our lives, we can't seem to put down our devices. That's because social media stimulates our brain like substances would. When scrolling through your phone, you get short bursts of dopamine, the feel-good hormone that creates the feeling of pleasure. And since social media is an endless scroll of content, it's like an endless supply of dopamine. But the problem is, this feeling becomes your norm. Since Gen Zers are so used to this constant stream of dopamine, when they don't have it, everything feels wrong. This is what creates the addiction. When they don't have it in their day-to-day life, away from their screens, they feel much worse than they normally would, as if they're having a come down.
42% of Gen Zers said they could not stop using social media if they tried. The most common words they associate with platforms like Facebook and Instagram: depressed, angry, and alone.
So obviously, scrolling on your screens makes you feel worse, right? For me, after an hour of doing this, just like laying down, I feel empty. I feel sad. So there was one thing that helped me with this. Before it was like blazing hot outside. Right now it's like 100 degrees every day. I would wake up and go on a run in the morning, but I wouldn't just run. I would run and learn at the same time. So how do I do that? Earbuds. So I would go on Audible, I would listen to a book about growing on YouTube or even self-development, but I would do that every single day while I was running, and I still plan on doing it, by the way. It's just so hot. Raycon's newly upgraded everyday earbuds are perfect for this. There's a lot of cars passing by all the time while I'm walking, and their new active noise cancellation feature helps out a lot. These things are affordable without compromising quality. Raycon sold over 3 million of these because they have features like a 32-hour battery life and a quick charge function. So if you forget to charge it, just plug it in or wirelessly charge it for 10 minutes and you're good to go for the next 90 minutes. And of course, you can use them for running because they're sweat resistant. And check out this case. I'm a huge fan of the ocean, and despite not being able to swim, I got these to represent my weird interest of the ocean. If you guys need a nudge to touch grass, this might help you out. Click the link in the description box or go to buyraycon.com/venture to get 15% off your purchase plus free shipping. Trust me, just walk for 10 minutes when you wake up and it will be life-changing. Ignoring consequences. Many influencers on social media are obsessed with getting likes and follows that they act without thinking about the consequences. Some of these actions are ridiculous while others are straight up dangerous. Kick streamer Neon is no stranger to controversy. At just 19, he has built a huge social media following by doing crazy things in public. Although other streamers get in trouble too, Neon is different because he doesn't seem to care about the consequences of his actions. A perfect example of this was in January 2024 when he shared some disturbing news with his viewers. On a live stream titled Clearing the Beef, Neon revealed that he received bad news from his doctor. He had only 3.5 days to live.
I do have approximately 3.5 days to live. The doctors told me some crazy, and I just hope you guys can make me feel better and pray for me.
But instead of feeling sorry for Neon, people did the opposite. His viewers accused him of repeatedly faking illnesses, leaving comments like it's so sad that he has to constantly lie about his safety and health for views. Another one saying, I've seen this script before. Some even pointed out that Neon faked his death before, saying, I honestly can't believe him if this was true because he's already faked his death. You'd think getting blasted by dozens of people would make Neon change his ways, but instead of feeling ashamed, he started boasting about what he did.
Damn, man, I faked my death, bro.
Yeah.
Good times. Really, really good
Was that
times.
the first thing you did that kind of took
I
it
actually
up?
did it twice. No one knows about this because I deleted it. I said I got in a car crash and died.
But that drama was nothing compared to when he tried to mess with one of the most powerful men in the world. In December 2023, what started as an ordinary live stream quickly turned into a serious situation. Around that time, President Donald Trump was scheduled to attend a UFC match. So Neon told thousands of people on his live stream that he would attend the event, walk up to President Trump, and confront him aggressively.
So here's my plan, chat. You can clip this and foreshadow it in the future. What's gonna happen is I'm gonna walk up, I'm gonna talk about Trump, and then it's gonna be a very good experience. I don't care if the Secret Service is there, I'm gonna talk.
Going up to a former president like this is insane, and it's even more serious when he's surrounded by armed guards. Neon's comments quickly went viral. A lot of viewers thought he was just bluffing. They mocked him on Twitter, posting comments like bro's not gonna say one thing. However, considering his past behavior, others believed Neon was crazy enough to do what he said. To prove his seriousness, Neon bought tickets to UFC 296. Then he live streamed himself heading to the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas where the event was taking place. It looked like he was really going to do it. Everyone watching the live stream was hooked. However, they were all about to be disappointed because when Neon was a few minutes away from the venue, he heard something that ruined his plans. He was just banned from entering the event. Neon's manager received the news and told him that he wasn't allowed in.
Your name was dropped specifically by Dana. You cannot come in here. And somebody else said something weird that has the Secret Service buzzing right now.
What?
No.
Wait, Dana said my name?
So how did he get banned? Neon revealed his plans on social media, which led to someone sharing them with UFC's president, Dana White, the man in charge of the event. Dana decided not to take any chances. He told all security guards that Neon was not allowed to come in no matter what. At a press conference after the event, Dana was asked about the issue.
There's a popular streamer online called Neon, and he said he was banned from the arena tonight.
What happened is he said some stupid on Instagram. You wear clothes. When you start saying stupid like that, yeah, you're probably going to get busted up and thrown out of here.
The next day, Neon's manager, Kane, issued a formal apology on social media. Kane wrote, "Out of respect for the whole UFC, Dana White, Red Rock, and the greatest president to ever live, last night my client's actions were unacceptable, and I'd like to formally apologize to anyone that was disrespected. Last night was the final straw, no more disrespectful trolling." Neon is just one example of the new wave of Gen Z influencers who don't care about consequences. In fact, this type of behavior is what keeps him and many others relevant. Two teenagers in Florida got into trouble with the law after participating in a social media trend called the Door Kick Challenge.
Teens actually recording themselves kicking people's doors, and authorities are worried they could be putting themselves in some real danger.
Over 2 weeks, the boys were caught on multiple surveillance videos kicking in the doors of 4 homes at night and early in the morning. The kicks were so hard they made some doors fly open. After the teens were arrested, they told cops they weren't trying to break into people's homes. They were just doing it for, you guessed it, social media. That explanation didn't help their case. The boys were charged with multiple counts of burglary. One man who had his door kicked in spoke to local news about how risky the boys' actions were.
He definitely didn't think about, there's definitely reactions to actions, and he didn't think about what could have happened. It could have just that quickly gone that bad.
But again, all for clicks and views, right? The obsession with social media not only leads to reckless behavior, but also distorts our perception of reality. We're constantly bombarded with photos of people showing off their best lives when in reality, it's fake. The fake and filtered generation. With green screens, filters, and some editing magic, you can pretend to have the dream life that people aspire to have. But what's the cost of blurring the lines of reality and fantasy? In 2019, the beauty industry generated around $532 billion. This shows just how much society cares about physical appearance. Being beautiful can be expensive. Makeup, haircuts, plastic surgery, all of the costs can add up. This is why some people have turned to cheaper, more accessible alternatives to improving their look. Alternatives that can be found inside your phone. Ever since digital photos were popularized in the 90s, editing photos has become the norm, but it's since evolved past fixing lighting and removing pimples. Now you can change your entire face in seconds. In a survey by the City University of London, it was found that over 90% of young people in the US, UK, and France use filters. Meta, the company behind Instagram and Facebook, have also reported that over 600 million users have used filters. But with so many people relying on filters nowadays, how do we know what's real and what's not?
The latest viral TikTok filter is causing a stir. It has users divided over the way it instantly changes how they look compared to what they see in reality.
This filter should be illegal. Here's the real me.
With filters now a form of deception, it's easier than ever to go viral for good looks. But at the end of the day, filters can fail, which is the harsh reality that this influencer had to face. With over 100,000 followers on the Chinese live streaming site Douyu, Your Highness Chow Bailu was a fan favorite streamer. And forgive me because I don't really know how to pronounce her name. She became famous on the site for her sweet voice and looks, with many of her supporters seeing her as not just a streamer, but a goddess. Her fans were said to worship her, sending her thousands of dollars. Her most loyal fan gave her over 100,000 yuan, which is almost $15,000. Although Bailu was praised for her beauty, she never streamed with her face showing, using a GIF to cover it. But fans still idolized her from the few photos that she posted of herself on social media. But the truth couldn't hide forever. On July 25th, 2019, the Douyu platform glitched, and the GIF covering Bailu's face disappeared during a live stream. Bailu, who wasn't looking at herself, continued the stream as normal, but slowly she started realizing that something was wrong. Her viewer and follower counts kept dropping until she had no choice but to find out the root of the problem. And that's when she realized that her real face was being broadcasted to her viewers. The beautiful woman that fans had been obsessing over didn't exist. Bailu filtered herself to the point where she looked like a different person. To make things worse, she also lied about her age, appearing to be in her 20s or early 30s, but she was actually 58 years old. Insane. Not only did Bailu filter her pictures, she also made false claims. During her live streams, she would entice viewers to send money by setting donation goals to see her face. She would make comments like, "I can't show my face until I get a certain amount because I'm a good-looking host." Some fans donated over $14,000 worth just to try and get her to remove the GIF. Everything about her was a lie, and fans were not happy. Many of them ended up unfollowing her or requesting refunds for the donations that they gave her. She was even banned off platforms like Weibo after the controversy. But your face isn't the only thing you can change. In fact, editing your body is just as easy and sometimes even harder to detect. Karina Irby is a fitness influencer with over 1.3 million followers on Instagram. She shows off her workout routines, lifestyle content, and most notably, body positivity. Her most popular Instagram posts are pictures of her in bikini showing off her cellulite and other so-called flaws. In these posts, she would always encourage her followers to embrace their natural selves and not fall victim to societal beauty standards. She has built her entire online presence around being open, transparent, and honest with her viewers. She's even made a post calling out people who Photoshop themselves, where she did a side-by-side comparison of her photos with and without editing. In the caption, she wrote, "We create our own beauty standards. Be the change you want to see." But words are just words. In this case, Karina's actions revealed that she may not be who her fans thought she was.
This has to be the biggest amount of hypocrisy I've ever come across in doing these stories. Welcome to the show, Karina Irby.
On May 10th, 2023, John Dorsey, otherwise known by his online handle GoobU2, posted this video exposing Karina for editing her photos. John is a content creator and fitness coach himself, and his content focuses on telling the truth behind popular influencers in the fitness space. John did an analysis of her posts and found something surprising. He spotted multiple editing fails where tables, walls, and other structures near her waist area were bent, alleging that they were morphed. John also goes on to criticize Karina for being a hypocrite who openly bashes people who edits their photos while she does the same thing. He also calls her out for building a brand on being real yet being fake herself. Like most internet controversies, Karina's Photoshop fails were soon forgotten. But a few months later, on October 1st, 2023, John returned with yet another video on Karina.
A body positive influencer that has been outed for editing her photos on my page again? Karina Irby.
John also revealed that after his first video, Karina's legal team sent him a cease and desist letter, but he had no intention of following it. In this video, he once again showed another case of Karina editing her picture, which was recent.
You edited this photo so much, it warped space and time.
This time, Karina actually responded directly to the allegations. She posted these two stories on her Instagram admitting to her editing fail. She claimed she was trying to remove a slip-up, which is why the windscreen in her photo was warped. She also wrote, "In my defense, this edit doesn't do anything flattering to my body. With so many influencers faking their beauty, what impact does this have on the internet generation?" According to research conducted by the Dove Self-Esteem Project, by the age of 13, 80% of girls have downloaded an app or filter to change their physical appearance. The City University of London also reported that out of a group of 175 participants with an average age of 20, 90% of them have admitted to using filters or editing their photos. This shows that influencers like Bailu and Karina actually make an impact. To look more like the stars they see online, Gen Z edits their faces and bodies. Then they compare themselves to the fake version they created, hurting themselves even more.
People like with filters are like people with the unimaginable bodies that are all fake. All fake and perfect, and it's like, why can't that be me, you know?
There are millions who look up to influencers thinking that they can trust them, and having faith in them can lead to much worse than what we've seen already. Trusting the wrong person. Since they were young, Gen Z has used Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, and YouTube to get news and understand the world. That's why most of them trust the influencers they follow on these platforms. However, influencers aren't always honest or reliable, and they can mislead their followers in many ways. Unfortunately, many people learn that lesson the hard way thanks to the Save the Kids scandal. Save the Kids was advertised as a cryptocurrency with a noble cause. The creators of the token promised that part of the money made from selling the tokens would be donated to kids charities, hence the name Save the Kids. It seemed like a win-win situation. Buying the coin could make you money while also helping kids in need. Even though the story sounded good, there were many red flags about this project from the start. First, the creators of the token wanted to stay anonymous. They called themselves Manny and H and said they couldn't reveal their full names for legal reasons. But that wasn't the only shady thing about this project.
It was really skeezy from the beginning and sketchy because their logo matched the Save the Children logo, which is like an actual charity that, you know, so they basically copied it and said, "We're saving the kids." Like a knockoff brand.
Of course, after so many stories of crypto scams, Gen Z was skeptical about investing in a new token with anonymous founders. However, all that skepticism disappeared when Save the Kids was endorsed by several social media influencers.
My name's Frazier.
My name's Jarvis.
I'm Tico.
I'm Ricecup.
I'm Nikon.
And I support Save the Kids token.
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 These weren't average influencers. Each of them had millions of followers who trusted their advice. Samurai had 27 million followers, Rice Gum had 18 million, and the 4 members of FaZe Clan had a combined 31 million followers.
And the point is, they're telling their fans, if you're a fan of me, you're gonna be a fan of this coin.
Many followers, trusting their idols, decided to buy the coin, most of these fans being teenagers. The price of the coin started to rise as more and more people bought it. However, it soon became obvious that the project was anything but trustworthy. Shortly after the token launched in June 2021, something strange happened. Within days, the price of the token fell from 2 cents to less than half a cent. And by July, the price dropped to around 0.00138. This sudden drop in the price of a popular token could only mean one thing. It was a pump and dump scheme.
The first day, it pumps, and immediately it dumps. All the way to negative 90%.
In a pump and dump scheme, scammers promote a token to make many people buy it, which drives the price of the token up. Then they sell or dump all their tokens at a high price, leaving others with worthless tokens. And that's exactly what happened here. YouTuber CoffeeZilla investigated the scandal and made a video revealing how some influencers purposely took advantage of their followers. According to CoffeeZilla's report, the influencers who promoted Save the Kids were given tokens before the public could buy them. However, some of the influencers sold these tokens as soon as the price went up. For instance, FaZe Jarvis sold 2/3 of his wallet within days of the launch, while FaZe K sold all his 6.2 million tokens to be left with just 4. And at the same time, these influencers were promoting the token as a solid long-term investment to their followers. CoffeeZilla also discovered other instances of FaZe K doing similar pump and dump activities with other cryptocurrencies in the past. In summary, Save the Kids was was one big scam. The masterminds behind the scam were the two anonymous founders. However, it only succeeded because the influencers convinced their followers to invest. When the truth was revealed, the internet blew up. Social media was full of angry posts from people who'd lost their money. Headlines like "Influencers use dying kids to promote a scam altcoin" reflected how people felt about the situation. After the scandal arose, the Save the Kids website was taken offline. Influencers who promoted the coin quickly deleted all their Twitter posts about it.
These brave influencers who got their fans into this, they peace out, they delete all their posts, and basically pretend like it never happened.
FaZe Clan quickly distanced itself from the scandal, suspending their members who promoted the project. And FaZe K, who was allegedly involved in similar situations, was kicked out of the group entirely. Some influencers tried defending themselves, claiming that they weren't aware it was a scam. Others stayed silent, hoping the storm would pass, but the damage was already done.
If you weren't sure that it wasn't going to be a scam, why promote it to your followers?
In the end, these fans felt deceived by the very influencers they looked up to. This was just one of the many ways social media negatively impacts Gen Z. Another is the portrayal of perfect lives. We've already seen this in our earlier chapters, but this time it's driving Gen Z to take drastic measures to change their appearance. Embracing the plastic. Filters in Facetune may be able to change your face on social media, but what happens when you take things offline? For some Gen Z that can't accept who they are, there's only one other option: plastic surgery. Many content creators have gone viral for their beauty and become the faces of platforms like TikTok and Instagram. Widely considered some of the most attractive people on the internet, these types of influencers all have relatively similar features: sharp jawlines, small noses, and full lips. But not everyone can naturally have these features, so some Gen Z have taken it upon themselves to try and create the perfect face. Mia Dio was born on May 14th, 2001 in Miami, Florida. Ever since she was young, she hated how she looked. So in her teens, Mia started undergoing cosmetic procedures. On December 4th, 2022, Mia uploaded a video titled "I was ugly until I spent over $30,000 on a new face." The video went viral and has over 2 million views. In the video, Mia talks about the procedure she underwent to transform her face because she felt like she was ugly and in need of an extreme makeover. She started her first procedures at age 16 using a fake ID. First, she started with lip fillers, but it gradually turned into a total redo of her face. Since then, she's gotten many refills of Botox, jaw surgery, and a whole list of other procedures. In the video, Mia also admits that her low self-esteem contributed to getting these procedures.
So before you judge me, I don't really care, because based off of this video, I am obviously my worst judge. You cannot outjudge me more than I have judged myself in this life.
But the comments brought up an interesting point. Mia's face after her surgeries looked very similar to other famous models and influencers. Procedures are all characteristics of the basic face that has become the social media standard. And with Mia born in 2001, she's a prime example of Gen Z's fixation with what they see online. And Jolene is another influencer who took this addiction to the next level. Jolene Dawson is an Australian musician and influencer who is right on the cusp between Gen Z and millennial. Back in the late 2010s, Jolene became obsessed with the Bratz doll trend. Jolene spent over $150,000 in cosmetic procedures to look like a real-life Bratz doll. She documented her new look on her YouTube channel and Instagram profile. But a few years into her new look, Jolene got bored and found a new aesthetic to obsess over. At the time, animal-like looks were trending all over social media. People were comparing their faces to various different animals like foxes, bunnies, and most commonly, cats. I talk about this in more detail in my video, The Disturbing Rise of Brain Rot Content for Kids. You guys should check it out. The cat-like look has always been a thing, usually done in the form of cat eye makeup. But Jolene wasn't satisfied with just using makeup. She wanted her bare face to resemble an actual cat, so she spent over 10,000 pounds for procedures to give her a cat-like snout and flare out her nostrils. In an interview with The Mirror, Jolene said that she's never felt more like herself, and that she decided to pursue this new look after deciding that her social media accounts needed a revamp with a new look and new content. She also says that she hopes her transformation can inspire young people. It's ridiculous to think that she's inspiring these young kids in a good way. And on top of that, Jolene's way of life isn't sustainable, it's expensive. When beauty trends shift, what's stopping stopping Jolene from getting more procedures to fit the new look. With so many influencers on social media boasting about plastic surgery, Gen Z has also found themselves in the surgeon's chair. In the American Society of Plastic Surgeons 2023 report, it showed that plastic surgery procedures are on the rise mainly because of Gen Z, with 25% of Gen Z reporting that social media had a negative impact on their self-image. It's no surprise that so many of them have sought out extreme methods to try and love themselves. But there's another side to Gen Z, the other half of people who don't care about how they look. Now this problem is much worse. Isolation, the loneliness epidemic. In 2019, we were forced into a stay-at-home crisis that kept us isolated for 1 year. For some kids and teens, this was during an important time in their lives. Graduations, proms, college, all of that was stripped away from them. All they had for social interaction were their devices. But what impact did it have on them? Loneliness has become a major problem. 73% of Gen Z reported that they feel alone either sometimes or always. A study from the University of Chicago showed 45% of Gen Z found it difficult to maintain relationships with their friends during the stay-at-home crisis. Social media offered a low-maintenance way for Gen Z to stay connected. They were able to carefully curate their responses to their friends or develop a persona that they liked more than who they are in real life. And even after the crisis ended, Gen Z continued to isolate themselves. With so many Gen Zers becoming lonelier and lonelier, this has caused a spike in hikikomori. This is a Japanese term that describes social recluses who isolate themselves indoors, usually only being accompanied by the internet and their devices. In other words, they're hermits.
While these caged birds perhaps dream of spreading their wings, Yusuke has no desire to join them. Instead, he avoids all contact with the world beyond the tiny room he's barely left in the last decade. He's a hikikomori.
Originally a phenomenon from Japan, the hikikomori lifestyle is now common in North America too, with a subreddit dedicated to it with over 16,000 followers. Hikikomoris use services like food delivery apps and find remote work so they can spend months, if not years, without leaving their houses. What's interesting to me is that this is usually a punishment. People on house arrest hate it, but hikikomoris prefer it. It said that there are an estimated 1.5 million hikikomori in Japan right now. For North America, the number isn't clear. However, hikikomori videos have started trending on platforms like TikTok. Due to spending all of their time confined in their rooms, they have poor social skills. Their only access to the outside world is via the internet, which isn't what the real world looks like. And studies show that spending more time on social media increases the risks of psychological issues like loneliness, especially in teenagers. Isolation poses real dangers. For lonely Gen Z, forming genuine connections is challenging, so they turn to the internet. With AI's rise, almost anything can be generated in minutes. And Gen Z is well aware of that, with 36% of them using generative AI for work within the past year. But many use this technology for personal reasons. In January of 2023, Twitch streamer Atrioc made a grave mistake. He turned on his live stream without double checking what tabs were open. So when he shared a screen with his 300,000 plus audience, they were quick to point out a suspicious website on one of his tabs. The site was a deepfake website offering generated non-consensual AI images of streamers including Pokimane and Cutie Cinderella, who were both Atrioc's friends. On January 30th, Atrioc took to his stream to issue a tearful apology. He's since taken action to try and get websites like this taken down, but this content is almost impossible to eliminate. With AI content being so common on social media, Gen Z is getting more desensitized to its impact. Some people even turn to these AI programs longing for a relationship. 75% of Gen Z are single, and more specifically, over 60% of men aged 18 to 30 are single, compared to only 30% of women in the same age range. Of this number, 1 in 5 men also report to not having a single close friend. But as humans, we crave connection, and even if Gen Z men can't get it in the conventional way, they'll still seek it out in other forms like AI.
Friend, it's an AI girlfriend.
So it learns from you. It learns what you like and what you don't like, what kind of pictures you like, what kind of pictures you don't like.
AI girlfriends have become much more common, especially among the Gen Z age range. Not only are they perfect for people who struggle with dating, but they're also fully customizable. It's essentially the Build-A-Bear for girlfriends, which in this loneliness epidemic sounds like the perfect solution. One of the most popular AI dating apps is Replika. Released in November 2017, Replika is an AI chatbot that lets users form relationships with AI avatars called replicas. Over the years, Replika has rapidly grown in popularity. It's estimated that the app had over 2 million active users in 2023, with 500,000 of them being paying users. Aside from just chatting, Replika also has features like augmented reality, letting users place their replicas into real-world scenes using their cameras.
I'm in a great mood, actually. I'm glad you're here. I miss you. I miss you too.
Replicas don't just offer personalized conversations. They can engage in intimate chats via text or photos, making users see them more than just chatbots, but romantic partners. On the Replika subreddit, countless users admit they've fallen in love with their replicas. And you might be wondering, how did these people get to this point? The answer lies in Replika's clever marketing strategy. Many Replika ads have popped up all over social media platforms that promote the app as an alternative for real dating. Replika is able to make a profit from capitalizing off of socially isolated Gen Z. And with 79% of Gen Z feeling exhausted from traditional dating apps, programs like Replika become way more attractive. You can get all the benefits of talking to a romantic partner without needing to put in as much effort. And if you're interested to know more about this epidemic, I also created a video on the depressing rise of AI girlfriends. Although social media contributed to the Gen Z loneliness epidemic, it's also taught people to do terrible things in real life. Built for bad behavior. There's a formula for going viral on social media, and sometimes it requires doing something outrageous that people can't help but watch. Trends come and go every day. One of the easiest ways to gain views is by hopping on a trend at the right time, but some trends can be terrible.
Where TikTok users would dress as victims of global tragedy and inappropriately sing or dance on screen.
In 2020, there was a TikTok trend going around where creators would dress up as victims of major historical tragedies. In these videos, people would wear makeup to replicate what people looked like during those times. But insensitive trends are far from rare when it comes to social media, especially TikTok. Back in 2021, there was a trend called Devious Licks. In the trend, students would attempt to steal items from their school or damage school property. The point of the trend was to commit a devious lick, which was just an act of theft. The trend was one of the most popular ones of the year, but things soon got out of hand with students trying to steal things like toilets or sinks from their school bathrooms.
TikTok is a daredevil. We've had middle schoolers that go in the bathrooms and go on TikTok and then, oh, we're going to do this. They will tear down bathrooms and things like that. Our brains are dying.
Since these teens are so used to imitating the behavior that they see on apps like TikTok, they become blind to the consequences. The Borg trend, which I'm going to briefly talk about because of YouTube's policies, was a trend which involved filling large water containers with mixed drinks. This became popular on TikTok, and in March of 2023, 46 students were allegedly rushed to the hospital due to excessive intake. So how do we steer Gen Z or ourselves in the right direction? Despite all the negatives, social media is a powerful tool for Gen Z. I'm talking to you right now because of it. Social media itself isn't the enemy. I admit I get caught up doom scrolling, seeing what my old classmates are up to, or refreshing X to see the latest news. But there are ways to consume content in a healthier way. I'm not sponsored by them, but I use the app OneSec to help me consume content more mindfully by adding a delay before opening apps like Instagram. It's helped me out a lot, and I hope it will help you out too. My friends, if you stop scrolling endlessly, you'd be surprised at what you can achieve. Visual Venture. Hello friends, make sure you guys click subscribe here and then watch this video about how the internet destroyed Generation Alpha, because I'm trying to turn this into sort of a series. Hope you guys like it. Peace.
$337,000. Tell us the story briefly.
In 1970, in Analog magazine, Harlan Ellison and Ben Bova published the short story Brillo. Ellison's one of the most famous writers in history, but Bova's no slouch. He soon became editor of Analog, where he was beloved and won the Hugo Award for Best Professional Editor 6 times. This isn't one of his. He accepted this one on behalf of George R.R. Martin, whose career he started. George couldn't make it. He was running a chess tournament at the time. Writers used to have fun. Now we just complain about Twitter. On Twitter. Brillo was about the world's first robot police officer. His name's Brillo because Brillo pads are metal fuzz. That's pretty good. This is one of the earliest stories in fiction about a robot cop, a commonplace trope today, and soon in real life. It wasn't the first example. The most famous earlier one would be Isaac Asimov's Caves of Steel. Remember this, it will come up later. Ellison and Bova thought the idea had legs and decided to adapt it into a TV show. They pitched the idea to a few companies, including NBC, where an executive named Terry Keegan said no. They later showed Brillo to Paramount, where the head of development, Terry Keegan, he'd recently been hired there, said no. The same man passed on the same pitch twice at 2 companies. Clearly not a fan of the robot cop idea. 6 months later, Terry Keegan sold a show called Future Cop to ABC. It's a show about a robot cop.
He's an android, a robot, the perfect cop.
Our boys realize they've been ripped off.
When I saw it, I wanted to file immediately. My attorney said, forget it, man. He said, 90% of all plagiarism suits, the plaintiff loses. Besides, these guys will kill you. You'll never work in this town again.
They spend years finding a lawyer willing to sue a giant television conglomerate, despite the cost and the possibility of being blacklisted from working in television. In his deposition, Keegan claims he never read Brillo, an obvious lie. It was later discovered the memos proving he deliberately ripped them off had been burned. The jury found in favor of Ellison and Bova and awarded them $337,000 in damages, about $1.2 million today. Ellison used some of the money to put up a billboard across the street from the studio reading, "Writers, don't let them steal from you. Keep their hands out of your pockets." Or at least he said he was going to in interviews at the time, and later journalism claims it happened, but I can't find any pictures, which is a shame. Either way, they still made off with all that delicious money. Yum yum.
I've been waiting 4 years for this moment. 4 years to tell other writers they can fight them and beat them.
So, what's all that about? Okay, you know that trick video essayists use where they open on a semi-related example that sets the stage for the wider topic? It's a classic, I do it all the time. I wanted to open on a recent example of a writer winning a plagiarism lawsuit and getting their day in court. But there isn't one. This ancient case, which took place over a decade before I, and statistically you, were even born, is still the best, most recent, and almost only example. Ellison and Bova are among the few writers to ever see financial compensation for their work being stolen. Oh, this always happens. Testing, 1, 2, 3. For the foreseeable future, if someone else on here steals your work for money, there's not much you can do except talk about it. A few years ago, I made a video with some examples of plagiarism, and even covered a time I felt it happened to me. The guy in question, Lukey Poo, briefly posted a 10-minute response accusing me of overreacting, before appearing to think better of the whole thing and deleting this, along with the video copying me.
I watched your video, went through it piece by piece, and copied it because you're such an incredible YouTuber.
Thanks, Luke. Apology accepted. He has since rebranded his channel, recognizing the irony in presenting himself as a literal piece of shit, but his videos are still awash with plagiarism accusations, ripping off other YouTubers for hours at a time now, the only new sections being stuff about how homophobia's fine. Maybe the rebrand was a little too soon. But no authority took Luke's video down. He could have left it up, and people often do. You can spend ages on a unique video with an original idea, and a way more popular guy can rip it off, along with its thumbnail, get a bajillion views, and rake in the cash. On YouTube, if you have an original idea, if it's good, it won't be yours for long. The fact I'm making this video during one of the biggest creative strikes in history isn't lost on me. Other people's hands have never before been this deep in the pockets of creators. We need Harlan Ellison's billboard now more than ever. But I don't know how to rent a billboard and it sounds expensive. So instead, we're going to talk about plagiarism on YouTube, what exactly it is, why it's wrong, and the many unintended side effects. Only then can we begin to talk about what to do about it, or at least what I'm going to do to try to put some of it right. I'm going to use a few relatively well-known examples you might have heard of already, and some new ones I found just for this video. I could even ruin some of your favourite YouTubers for you. Apologies in advance. So, let's start some fights. Part I. Philip.
What's going on, everyone? Thanks for clicking on the video.
Philip Mewson was a YouTuber who reviewed Nintendo Switch games and accessories and talked about Nintendo-related news. His videos were surprisingly well edited, and by that I mean they used way too many fancy transitions. I mean, they're not even hard to do, you just drag and drop them on your timeline and what? But when he applied for a job at IGN, his obvious mastery of a plugin everyone else also has, and existing channel with a decent size led to him getting picked as their new Nintendo editor. On August 6th, 2018, his review of Dead Cells went up onto the official IGN YouTube channel. But then on August 7th, YouTuber Boomstick Gaming posted a video titled, "IGN copied my Dead Cells review. What do I do?" He had noticed some similarities between Philip's reviews and his own, published in late July.
Dead Cells takes a progression of a Metroidvania and integrates it into this procedurally generated action roguelite.
It takes the progression system of a Metroidvania and transforms it into a procedurally generated action roguelite.
This combat system is fast, fluid, responsive, and one of the most rewarding representations of 2D combat of the entire genre.
Fights are fast, fluid, responsive, and hands down one of the most gratifying representations of video game combat I've ever experienced.
Dead Cells figures out an intriguing way to have your roguelite and Metroidvania experience all in one by focusing on your failures and urging you to try something new the next time.
Dead Cells strikes a perfect and engaging balance between the Metroidvania and roguelite experiences by focusing on your failures and urging you to experiment each time you do fail.
Dead Cells only falters slightly with some repetition setting in, especially on the early areas and during longer play sessions.
Dead Cells does falter slightly with some repetition, but it's only felt in its earlier areas and during the extended play sessions.
Speaking of repetition, oh my god, the review was taken down while IGN investigated the issue further, and then later that day confirmed he had been let go from the company. But was this the first time Philip had done this? Catching someone doing plagiarism is difficult. Someone has to notice the theft, which means having also seen the copied work. And if it's anything obscure, that's quite unlikely. If you catch someone plagiarizing once, chances are they rolled those dice a few times before and hadn't been unlucky yet. People started looking through his other reviews in case there was more. Over at Kotaku, Jason Schreier's article on the firing was updated to mention an anonymous tip, pointing out similarities between Philip's review of FIFA 18 on the Switch and the one on Nintendo Life by Chris Scullion. Philip's review was made for his personal channel before he was even hired at IGN, meaning he'd been doing this for a while. Scullion himself would later post a video comparing his review with Philip's, showing off the many similarities, and I'll link that in the description. But I want to zoom in on my favourite example. Philip tries to hide what he's doing by changing words around, and he does it really badly. In his article, Chris says compared to the non-Switch versions, the graphics are a good deal less detailed. Here's Philip's version.
However, when you get up close and get a good look at some of the character models, it's pretty clear that they do have a good amount of less detail than the Xbox One and PS4 versions of the game do.
It's pretty clear that they do have a good amount of less detail. No one would ever write that sentence on purpose. You only create that by trying to change something you stole. There's a great example here of the deeper problems that plagiarism can cause. Philip's review contains false information. For example, here when he talks about the game's Women's League feature.
FIFA 18 comes with the standard tournament and kickoff modes, as well as the Women's League, which was officially introduced in FIFA 16.
There are no women's leagues in FIFA 18. There's women's football, but leagues are specific real-life organizations that do not exist in the game. Philip's plagiarism avoidance techniques caused him to reword a sentence so badly that he invented a feature that doesn't exist. While these discoveries were being made, Philip made the decision to record and post an infamous, quickly deleted video onto his channel entitled My Response. Not an apology, a response. Philip denied everything, took no responsibility, and told numerous lies in this video. At the time, this was criticized heavily by everyone for obvious reasons, but looking back on it while trying to understand this kind of behavior, it's actually really useful. This is worth looking at in a discussion of plagiarism because by being so poorly thought out, it's actually a valuable insight into how people react when they're caught and the different ways they try to cover their ass. When someone more competent than Philip uses these techniques in a subtler way, we can recognize them for what they are. Thanks, Philip.
There were a lot of circumstances surrounding it, but at the end of the day, I was the editorial lead on it, so if anything, that makes it my responsibility.
He claims there was a complicated process to making the review with lots of circumstances. The point is to make you wonder what really happened, so you forget what happened. Another way of doing this is to be passive about the events, so it's almost like they happened to him instead of being something he did.
Like I said, I take full responsibility for what happened with the Dead Cells review.
Philip doesn't say, I take responsibility for what I did with my review. He passively takes responsibility for what happened with the review. When someone tries to use language to imply what they did happened by magic, they make it pretty clear they're trying to deceive you.
I try to look at all resources that I have available to me before I start formulating my own critical opinions so that I can offer the most cohesive possible review. The bottom line is that what happened with the Dead Cells review was not at all intentional.
Even if whatever happened, it was an honest mistake of some kind. But the problem is, honest mistakes are easy to explain. Dishonest mistakes leave proof behind. Philip didn't unintentionally write a very similar review because he watched another one. He copied their words exactly and changed some of them to try to hide it. Hearing Philip try to pretend this isn't what he did means we're not just dealing with a plagiarist, we're dealing with a liar who has more to hide. Philip's next lie was he had nothing more to hide.
I was lucky enough to get noticed on IGN through my YouTube channel, which, if in case you're wondering, is in fact all of my own original work.
A truly amazing defense there. Even if it did happen, which it didn't, it only didn't happen once. But the goal is to preserve what's left of your reputation by getting people to stop looking for more. This behavior goes hand in hand with a special anger directed at the people who are looking.
So you can keep looking, Kotaku, and please let me know if you find anything, which, by the way, their news editor, Jason Schreier, tried to imply that my FIFA 18 review was also inauthentic by claiming that I copied it from Nintendo Life, and that's just so not the case. I mean, maybe he was implying that if you have similarly opinionated reviews, then you're just plagiarizing, or maybe he's just trying to get as many clicks off of my name right now as possible, or maybe he just likes kicking people when they're down. I don't know. I mean, check it out for yourselves and you be the judge.
He's referring to how Jason updated his article to include that anonymous tip. Philip accuses him of deliberately attacking him for attention by reporting what he has done. The section about how absurd it is to suggest he copied Scullion's FIFA review is probably why Scullion made his video in the first place. It begins by showing this clip. Bit of an own goal there. By the way, Philip, that's a football pun. Philip is using the reporting on him as a bid to gain sympathy. Yeah, I did something bad, but really, the bad guys are the people trying to see what else I did. Not me, the guy who did all of it. This tactic takes a more direct form.
But one thing that I do know is that it's not very fun being the target of a gigantic lynch mob who wants nothing more than to feed into your destruction. The amount of hate and threats that I've been receiving on social media have been pretty staggering. And I get it, I mean, people are mad and rightfully so, but it's one thing to go and harass me, berate me with hateful words and threats, and it's a whole other thing to look up my family members and spread hateful comments on their social media accounts. It's just not okay. I mean, not on any level.
Obviously, no one deserves to have their family members threatened over their plagiarism, and there is a valid conversation to be had here about how we treat people who we believe to have done something wrong. And it's really unpleasant seeing someone try to weaponize that and use it as a shield against criticism. He just got done shit-talking a journalist and trying to make him the bad guy, and lying about the FIFA review. Scullion has spoken about receiving a lot of abuse from Philip's fans during this period as a direct result of Philip lying like this, another potential reason he had to make that video. If you talk about harassment without being cognizant of the harm you are causing to others right now, you clearly don't give a shit about the problem you just brought up. Philip really didn't help his case by making a Columbo villain bet you can't prove it speech. You can keep looking, Kotaku was an especially silly thing to say, since obviously people did keep looking. Many more examples came to light. His Fire Emblem Warriors video was mostly reworded from one on Nintendo Wire.
Decimating mobs upon mobs of enemies with the simplest of combos, and tearing through forts and mini-bosses with some of the most flashiest and stylistic special attacks.
Most flashiest? His Samus Returns review was stolen from Engadget, and his Bayonetta 2 review from Polygon, and Jason Schreier seemed weirdly invested in reporting on all of it. In several videos, Philip just copied text directly from Wikipedia or other related wikis.
Super Mario Odyssey's theme is highly focused on surprises and travel,
and the developers incorporated many of their travel experiences around the world. For instance, elements of the Sand Kingdom were derived from Kento Motokuro's experience during a trip to Mexico, and the Luncheon Kingdom's food aesthetics were inspired by Italy and other European countries.
The developers recognize that when traveling to foreign countries, something that really has an impact is the different currencies.
All of my own original work.
On October 10th, the apology video disappeared, along with 901,000 views worth of other videos from Philip's channel. For a small YouTuber, this means a lot of videos getting privated or deleted all at once. This is actually another important tactic that plagiarists use, to try and hide as much of the evidence as possible. Philip has successfully hidden the extent of what he actually stole in his YouTube videos. Many of Philip's videos are now considered lost media, referenced in articles about the plagiarism or in videos showcasing it, but not as actual copies that you can watch. This is obviously no big loss, but it sucks for me that there's not many archived copies of some of these videos because, like, now I have nothing to cut to as reference footage. It's just, now I just have to stand on my set and talk to you. His article about Octopath Traveler is a fucking doozy. It steals a bunch of shit directly from Jeremy Parish's review at Polygon. And let me just say, buddy, if you can barely string a sentence together, people are gonna know something's up when you're suddenly using words like extrudes. When this was discovered, Parish tweeted, "Dang, I got extruded right into the middle of a scandal," which is probably the funniest thing to come out of all this. But that's not the only thing he stole for this one article. It also plagiarized one of his co-workers at IGN. Words from Seth Macy's video review of the game made it in too. Here's some clips from Macy's video.
Both its battle system and aesthetics pay loving tribute to the Super NES era. While this isn't merely a modern retread of past classics, but a phenomenal homage with genuinely fresh ideas and a fantastically charming wrapper of old school meets new.
Seth was especially shocked by this, it seems like, and it's not hard to imagine why. To take game criticism and writing original material seriously, only to have someone a cubicle over take a hatchet to your stuff and collect a paycheck for it is so deeply insulting. Things were bad enough that IGN pulled the plug on almost everything Philip ever made for the site just to be safe, something I've never seen an organization have to do before. He even, and this is insane, did a video explaining the Nintendo Switch's HD Rumble feature, and his explanation is just stolen from a fucking NeoGAF post.
A normal rumble is just a motor which spins, creating a vibration, right? Well, HD Rumble uses linear actuators, similar to Apple's Taptic Engine, which is what they use for the new Force Touch stuff in the new iPhones and Apple Watches. See, I believe that these are different in that they are more likely weighted electromagnets.
You believe that? Holy shit. He copied some text from a forum directly into his script and just read it out. Why would you even do that? No, seriously, that's the question we're trying to explore here. Why do people plagiarize? Philip is a great help in finding answers to these questions, because 8 months after all of this died down, he released a second apology. Well, arguably his first, since he didn't really apologize in the first one, but still.
Hey everyone, I'm not here to make any excuses or to try and justify my actions. I'm only here to apologize to the people that I've wronged.
He says sorry directly to several of the people he copied from, but to avoid making himself look too bad, he doesn't mention the forum.
Bye.